All right. Well, hello again. Welcome back to the experimentation of the turd shop. Anyways, going at it. Let you know with what's coming up, and then what I've kind of looked at as far as some comparisons on aftermarket cylinders, as well as what you'll be seeing and an idea that I'm going to float. You'll see the link to the company's website. Um, they were talking about dimpling a piston like a golf ball. I did read this in Motor Trend, so I'll actually, look at linking both of them into the description, or um, and then you can click on there and read for yourself what your thoughts are. Granted, the article is talking about diesels, but it kind of the company itself indicated that dimpling the top of the piston. Let's just show you here. Um, like a golf ball would be uh, beneficial in power, burn, combustion, and overall. So we'll see what happens with these. So just to give you some ideas where we're going. Also, excuse me on that, I got two cases here, identical. Aftermarket, I had to replace both crankshafts in these old cases. This is in a lot of stuff that I had, and basically there's 372 cases, as you can see, and I put both identical aftermarket cranks in there, crankshafts. They both spin really nicely, so setting them up in this, and so when I go to dimple the pistons, that's what we're doing. I'm going to use identical cylinders. As you can kind of see right there, these are the Warhawks. There is the number. They're the 372, 371. The ones with these, they're the single ring piston design, both of them, as you can kind of see. So we can go through there. Now, what other thing that I noticed, and I'll put you down here, is that these are all Husky cylinders, and I'm just going to show you some interesting things of comparisons. Of course, these cylinders here are 390 and a 385. Okay, so these are bigger, but it was something interesting. Here is a stock that can be cleaned up, and I'll use on another saw, but stock's a piston, 50 millimeter. Here's some 50 millimeters. As you can see, the Warhawk cylinders that are here. So, excuse me, a little congested here. But as it is, I'm going to show you some interesting stuff. So as you can kind of see, Warhawk cylinder in here. We get some light down in there. You can kind of see. Not the best quality, of course. Real sharp edge along here. And there's actually a lip right here. Then we'll have to take and put a flat file on, which is kind of interesting. So if you're getting one of these, you can kind of see the quality isn't quite there. These were on sale. Lucky I only paid about 30 bucks on sale for them. As you can kind of see, there is the cylinder itself. Both of them are pretty much identical as far as you look at it and see. So as you can kind of see. So another thing that I was going to kind of interested to show you is these pistons, if you're looking for the Warhawks, how they compare to a stock piston. And really I don't have, I completed a Meteor piston 50 millimeter, and it had better ports. But as you can kind of see right there, you can kind of see how the difference in size is. Maybe I can put them on the other side here. And you can kind of see it closer together. See, the size difference is tremendously different on there. So I will have to work these cylinders with that. As you can kind of see, the lower transfers are terribly small in this Warhawk cylinder. And you can kind of see in there, you can kind of see, get the camera just right, the size of the upper intakes and the size of the upper intakes. And it's not because of distance or anything like that. They are literally that small. So as you can kind of see here versus here, here versus here. Yeah, literally that's small. So not that greatest, right? The intakes are close. I think it's a little bit bigger. You know, the opening here is a little bit bigger. And if we look at flipping it around, you can kind of see the intake there on that side, intake here on this side. You can kind of see going back and forth. You see they're different shaped. This is a little, well, I don't even know if it's taller, but it is definitely noticeably narrower across. So the Warhawk basically needs a lot of work, in my opinion, right? Take a look. Exhaust. So as you can kind of see in there, if I can get the light just right, exhaust. This one's a little taller, narrower, as in width across. And then looking at it, if I can get them down there, you can kind of see a little bit more of an oval shape versus this one, which is definitely more, well, this one, let's say this is more like a D shape right here. You can kind of see that D shapeness going on. This one, definitely more rectangular, square blocked. Interesting, huh? So anyways, there is those. Now, another one I wanted to show you. I worked this cylinder a little bit, obviously. This was one that flaked out on me. This was a Proline cylinder. It was middle priced, 80 bucks. Thought it was gonna do good, but it flaked. And it flaked right in here. Let me get a pointer. It flaked right in here on the upper side of the exhaust. So that's not gonna be advantageous. That's gonna be terrible. And that flaked when I was polishing with a drum, a sanding drum, this in here, and it was about 120 grit, and going in and out, it had ended up flaking in here off the edge after I didn't do much grinding to change it. Yeah, it kind of bummed. So that got me into thinking also about heat treatment of the cylinder, and I'll explain that here in a minute. Here's one that I didn't work on, Meteor, too much. This is the 390, so it's 1 millimeter bigger. Have not touched it. All stock bevels and ports in there. I did do a little bit, started a little bit of lower transfer work, as you can kind of see. Really didn't do much. Widen it a little bit. These are already down. Now let's take a look at the 372. Okay, so what I find interesting is that the size of the ports are damn near the same, right? They're dang near the same size from a 372 to a 390, which is fairly interesting, right? And then you kind of look at, let's see, how am I going to do this? Look at, yeah, it looks like these are narrower and longer out of the 372. The 390, of course this is Meteor Aftermarket, right? But you know, they're pretty close to stock. They're a little taller, but shorter in width, if that makes sense, as you can kind of see. Okay, intakes, right there. Intake on both, 372 again, 390. Not a lot of difference, right? It is a little bit bigger on this one, as you can kind of see the comparisons. It is a little bit bigger, but the opening itself inside isn't, which is kind of interesting. Now we go to exhaust, and as you can kind of see, when it gets towards the inside of the cylinder, I did not touch this yet, so it's kind of got that V shape going on. Here we got one let's see if I can get the light just right. Kind of see carbon build up, and you can kind of see in there a little bit. So, but you wanted to see size of them. They're really close. There's not a lot of big size difference between them. This one's a little taller, I guess a little up and down wide, about the same width looking at it. So interesting correlations, of course, with these. And of course, the pistons to go on, the 390 piston. This is a very meatier piston. I have built a couple where I've taken this back for weight savings, come back and actually put some portholes in here. There was some people that thought that it might lose, which is great comments, might lose port velocity. The 385 that I put together, or the John Thread 2186 back in my playlist, that actually fired up and screams. I still need to get it really working in the wood to see what it's like. But anyways, so there's those. So what I talked about is these are going to be experimenting, dimpling the piston. One is going to have an even, I'm going to put cross patterns in here. I'm going to put an even distribution of hole or divots in here to make it look like a golf ball and kind of go around. And I did pose this on a thread, and a gentleman suggested I use a drill press, which is awesome. And I think I will, actually, to get it even and depth wise. And then the other one will be standard. So I'll do the best I can to match those up to what's going on. Now, with it, we know Meteor, cold out of the box, seems to flake real easily, right? So does Highway. And then some of the low-end ones are good about flaking, but you know, these ones, looking at it, I don't know, I don't trust these low ones. Kind of see divot in the fin there. Terrible. Cheap, right? So I'm going to heat treat these just in case. But being that this one flaked out with the Pro line, got me to thinking. And then what I also did is just recently go through and visit two builds where I tore a saw apart a 395, and this was for a gentleman, and he had a Meteor piston in it, a lot of use. Still went through it, looked at it, was able to do some lower transfer grinding, cleaning up a little bit. Didn't really change numbers, but it did not flake. So I went, huh. And then I put just recently that resurrected 372 that's up on my page. I just did that one, okay? And I didn't see it. Let's see. It's on the floor. Oh, I can't put the camera there. But, it starts up. It runs good. Wasn't as good as the 52 millimeter Highway, I don't think. But it's still pretty good and strong. I just didn't get that pop-up piston and everything in 50 millimeters versus 52. You know, whatever. But it still actually did some good cuts. Felt strong. But that piston and cylinder is a Meteor. Okay. I did have that in a previous saw, had about 5 tanks in it before I started seeing it scoring. Pulled it out, put in another one on it, and sent it back out the door. But anyways, that has really got me the idea. I was like, well, those went through heat cycles, and did they harden the cylinder up with heat cycles, the Nicosil to the aluminum? So we know that people heat treat pistons. Well, no one's talked about heat treating a cylinder to increase the bond between the Nicosil and the aluminum. So basically, I'm going to go out there and fire up my grill, get it up to 450-ish, and put these cylinders in there. I'm going to put these two in there. I'm going to heat treat 4 cylinders. And I'm going to see what they're doing. I'm also going to heat treat these cheaper pistons here just to try to do that. So try to cook them, get them up to temperature 450, and then quench them. Seems like the thought is, I know people say oil, but I'm just going to quench them in water and see how they work. If nothing else, it's an experiment, right? So experimenting with the cases, experimenting with heat treatment of the cylinder, and then dimpling and seeing if they work with this. So like I said, I will put the links in here. I'll put the links to the website. You can read about it yourself and get your own idea and see how it works. If nothing else, it's a crackpot idea, but they're cheap cylinders, right? Only 30 bucks a piece that I found them on sale. Almost wish I would have got some farmer techs, but anyways, we'll just go with it. So enjoy. Hopefully you found that interesting, and it's not too long of a video here, but thank you for following along. Comment as you feel free, and if you're watching this, and see what your thoughts are. Appreciate it. So have a good day.